Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Joined by Coach Holton. Usually it's Wednesday and Friday, but I had so much to say after the Kyle Tucker walk-off. Hey, I know the shows haven't been totally consistent lately. Yep. Hang in there with us. We'll get to it as we move on. We'll get into more shows. But, hey, we have an awesome show to get to today, Coach. It's great to see your face. It was great to see Kyle Tucker nail one for a game winner, right?
Yeah, it was. Great to see you as always, Case. Great to be with our Dodger dogs out there, the best in the business, the best fans in the world, best dogs in the world. It's always great to see you, and missed our time together. I know life happens and it throws curveballs at all of us.
Sure does.
I know our Dodger dogs understand it. I certainly do. We all do. So we're glad to be here to talk about some fun stuff, some Dodger baseball. And yes, great to see Kyle Tucker, the guy on the internet, the hood guy. I don't know if you've seen this guy. It's a guy sits in the stands. He videos. Of course, he throws the F-bombs out but he had a good video right behind home plate on Tucker's base hit. Line shot up the middle. It was pretty cool. But I don't follow the hood guy, but it does pop up on my TikTok for some reason. It's kind of funny. He's dropping F-bombs and celebrating those Dodger wins. But he had a good video from right behind. Good to see Kyle Tucker go right up the middle for the game winner. That was a great, great comeback win. Something we're getting used to seeing the Dodgers do.
Comeback wins are kind of the blessing and the curse. It's the blessing that obviously you're scrappy enough and tough enough and talented enough to make comebacks. Because I'm telling you, man, teams in Major League Baseball, they don't make comebacks. Trying to win games by coming back against Major League bullpens is not the way you want to make your living. So it's not great from that perspective, but it is great that you have the talent and the wherewithal and the scrappiness and the grittiness to actually do that, right? So it's kind of a blessing and a curse.
It is, Case, and me and you can speak on this, being even our level of coaching and love of baseball. We always have been in those situations. I don't know how many times I walked up to a kid and said, the only reason we're able to come back is because you went out there and put zeros up. That's the best part about a comeback. There is no comebacks if your bullpen's not throwing zeros 100%. Up there. So the Dodgers have been a little inconsistent with the bullpen for a lot of reasons. Not horrible, but a little bit inconsistent. And that's a key right there to any comeback. You're not coming back if we just trade and run and kind of going, trading off. So that's a great sign for the bullpen. Has tightened up when they needed to when the Dodgers behind and allowed this elite, at times, offense come back.
Yeah, 100%. So was this the coming out party for Kyle Tucker? I mean, we never saw it. Of course, I said this, and here I'm doing it. We never saw that really with Michael Conforto. Again, Kyle Tucker, a totally different guy than Michael Conforto, but there is just no way that you can get past the comparisons because it's just, they're both outfielders. They're both veteran guys the Dodgers brought in to be offensive performers, right? So from that, Kyle Tucker's a way better player than Michael Conforto, so that comparison shouldn't happen. But you're still going to make the comparisons of he is replacing Michael Conforto from a year ago. So we never really kind of saw that coming out party from Conforto. Is this that for Kyle Tucker?
Well, you said it best right there, Case. Has been a better player than Conforto. We were thrilled last year we got Conforto. We thought he's a solid major leaguer. Just didn't work out for whatever reason. I'm glad to see he's with the Cubs and still in the big leagues. Good for him. But it just never worked out. He never came around, was never a big cog in the Dodger machine. Kyle Tucker's obviously a better player. He was brought – the expectations are way higher than they were for Conforto. We expect Conforto to hit a little bit down the order to give us some offense. It didn't happen. Tucker, he don't have to be the guy. We've got plenty of Hall of Famers up there, but we did give him the expectations, the money you gave him, and the other people that wanted him, higher expectations that he's going to be, hitting that 5-6 somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's hitting cleanup now, even hitting 4-0. So, there's higher expectations for him. I hope exactly what you said. It sounds like the young man's put a lot of time in and working. And like you, I think me and you were talking earlier, the fact he's looking middle is always a great sign for any hitter. Any hitter that's struggling when they're flying open. I think last night even a couple times with Shohei,
even Shohei Ohtani, as great as he is, when he thinks middle, it can get you out of ruts.
And he hits one against the wind, Oppo the other day. That's how good he is. But he's thinking middle away. He hits a bomb the opposite way because he's that good and that strong. with the wind blowing in. So yes, it's the same thing. The great hitters, I've had high school kids, some of my best hitters, they really get locked back in. Every team's up and down, every hitter's up and down. They get locked back in when they're driving the ball to right center for a right-handed hitter or left center for a left-handed hitter. That's when you feel like the kids are locked in, they're middle of the way and they're just driving where the ball's pitched. They get something inside, they're still going to be able to pull it inside third. But that's a great sign, and I'm Mr. Optimistic at this time of case, like you are, and I'm going to assume that we.
Yep, we lost Coach Holt right there. He's on his phone today. We're on a mobile setup, so Coach Holt was in the middle of that. We will just let him log back on. He'll be here in just a second. So what he was talking about, there's Coach Holt right there.
Sorry,
yeah, no problem. No problem, yeah. Coach. Can you make yourself just a little bit taller as we go here?
Somebody called me, so I was just
saying. No problem.
Okay. Anyway, that's a great sign. I'm going to be Mr. Positive here that he's too good a player. Conforto never had that type of talent, but this guy is too talented. He's been great in the outfield. He's a great defensive player. He's just too talented. I'd be shocked if he continues to struggle the entire year. We need him. The good thing for him, his mental makeup, he don't have to be the guy. We've got the guys. There's a lot of other the guys on this team, and he can go back. He can put his time in, but he's also getting paid a lot of money, and he's a big league player who has expectations. He has them on himself. These guys all have big expectations. He's not happy the way anything's going either. So that was a great sign to get a game-winning base hit, and he's shown signs recently, Case. Here in the last few couple of weeks in games of being that guy that we paid the money for.
Yeah, the reason why hitting the ball, one of the biggest reasons why hitting the ball up the middle, there's two big ones. The biggest one is the timing aspect of it. So if you're dead pull, okay, and you're a little bit early, you give yourself no margin for error for being early if you're dead pull, right? So if you're just thinking pull side and you swing a little bit early, you're going to swing and miss, or you're going to roll over it, you're going to hit it foul, whatever. If you're just thinking dead opposite field, that's not good either. It's kind of like, do you want to swing down? No. Do you want to swing up? No. You want to go somewhere in the middle of that. So if you're just thinking directly opposite field, and then you're late, you're not leaving yourself any margin for error in terms of being on the other end, being late. So if you're thinking middle, okay, this is why the opposite field gap you always talk about. If you're thinking middle and you're a little bit late, then the ball's going to go into the opposite field gap, correct? If you're thinking middle and then you're a little bit early, the ball is going to go into left center, and then you can play that all the way out to, if you're quite a bit early, then you can pull the ball. If you're quite a bit late, then you can hit the ball basically directly to the opposite field. So what staying middle of the field does, a couple of things. First of all, if you go gap to gap, it's just science. That's the most amount of grass there is for a ball to drop. So that's why that's the best area of the field to hit it, to gather the most amount of hits, because it's the most amount of room for a defense to cover. And then also it gives you the most margin, the biggest margins for error, both on being early and being late. That they call it being in the hitting zone. Okay, it gives you the biggest hitting zone in terms of timing, both being early and late. That's why having a middle approach is why guys like Freddie Freeman can hit breaking balls. They can hit fastballs. They can hit it opposite field. They can hit late movement. They can hit both sides of the plate. That's why it's such a great approach.
You're right. It gives you had a perfect explanation there of the big hitting zone there. Also, what have we heard a million times? We've said it ourselves. Hit the ball the big part of the field. That's what you're telling kids. Right center, left center. We're hitting gap to gap. That's where you want to focus right there. In a lot of ways, you explained it perfectly right there. The reason behind that and why it is so good. And Freddie, it may be the best. One of the best we've ever seen.
Well, Coach, Freddie's the best hitter in baseball at hitting breaking balls in the zone. And then laying off the ones that aren't. And that's because he's thinking opposite field gap, and he's letting the ball get a little deeper. So he's able to read spin. And then he's able to, he's not just trying to dead pull it, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's the best at hitting the breaking pitch. As you mentioned, in the zone, he just don't miss it. And he's been at so long and is so focused and so disciplined that he don't swing the balls out of the zone. I go back to the thing Wade Boggs said years ago, great hitter. It was a little bit different. He always he was going to pull the curveball, and he hit the fastball the other way. That was his theory.
Yes.
He's always going to be like hit the fastball the other way. He's going to pull the curveball.
That's the old-fashioned split rhythm timing. That's exactly what that is.
And he did it for years and drank 30 beers every road trip on a plane, evidently. But he was a hell of a hitter for a long time for the Red Sox. But always remember that, because that's a little bit different than what you saw. Even at that point there, and then some of the guys, definitely the guys now, you wouldn't hear that type of stuff. But it worked for him, and there's a lot of ways to be successful hitting a baseball. We could go back. Tony Gwynn had some great approach, and very seldom struck out. I mean, some of the all-time great hitters, those guys had it down to a science, just like Freddie does.
Yeah. So I'm super excited that Kyle Tucker had the walk-off. Hopefully this is the moment for him that relaxes him, kind of indoctrinates him into this lineup. I mean, I know everybody's like, hey, we're glad to have you, this and that, but really until you do it, you're not totally just in it with everybody. So hopefully it's that, but I'm the most excited about the fact that it's obvious he's trying to hit the ball up the middle. That's where you gather the hits, and then once you do that, then you can start getting greedy from there. So it's all great from that aspect. So let's get to the bullpen. You mentioned it. Obviously, it's been very heavy on Alex Vesia. Jack Dreyer's thrown 12 innings so far. The ERA is a little bit over 3. So other than a couple of outings, he's been fantastic. Alex Vesia has been super great. You're talking about Tanner Scott with an ERA under 3. Between Vesia and Tanner Scott, they're going to be that closer by committee. But let me say this, and I'll let you dive into all of that. Let me throw this into it too. So there's a couple of guys that need to take that next step. Edgardo Henriquez has been basically a lower leverage guy, waiting on him to improve his control and command. He needs to take that next step to be a high leverage guy, because I think Blake Treinen is going to kind of be that up and down guy from now on. I think that's just who he is. Will Klein needs to continue to climb into higher leverage roles. And then the Dodgers need to trust Kyle Hurt. Kyle Hurt can be a high leverage guy. So dive into all of that.
I agree with everything you just said right there, Case. The great part, I think, Treinen is going to be, like you said, great stuff, but it's kind of going to be kind of up and down for us. It's where we are in his career.
That's what he's showing to be right now.
That's what he's showing to be right now in his career. You're right. Henriquez, I think he came into the night was 10-3.
Yeah.
He came in that game. Like you said, a lower leverage guy. He's coming in. He's 101, 102. We need that guy to take the next step. And the greatest thing that happened with the Dodgers, obviously, of beating the Blue Jays, blah, blah, blah. But the story inside the story is what we get out of Robo and Will Klein. Now, what they made their mark in the World Series, and you see what has come into this year. They're totally comfortable in their skin. They have confidence. The team's got, the organization has confidence. So that's what you got with Will Klein and Robo both.
It looks different, doesn't it?
They're supposed to be here, and they know they're here. Yeah. And Robo's been elite. That's so great to see. But Will Klein, you same thing you said. Vesia and Scott, and Dreyer has been good. Vesia, oh my God! Of course, the Vesia story last year with him and his wife, lovely wife, lost her child, and all that. Just the way that guy goes, I love that guy's mentality. Robo's got a little bit of it, but he holds it in a little bit because he's a starter now. But, kind of we all saw the story last year in Toronto. But Vesia, every pitch, dude, I'm coming. I love the guy's attitude. Klein has been elite. But you look at that. But like you said, Kyle Hurt, that's a guy. We're to that point now. You're right.
He needs to be the new Edwin Diaz.
He needs to be the new guy. And we see this with every Dodger. I know we won 2 in a row. They weren't exactly the same.
Yeah.
Nothing was the same about either one of those years other than the Dodgers won. That's the only really thing you look at as the same.
Nothing.
Nothing was the same.
Not anything.
Nothing was the same.
That's like the most understated statement of all time. That nothing was the same between the 2 world championships. That's awesome, Coach.
And this year's going to prove to be the same stinking way, it looks like. It's just one of those. But my point is, the 2 years ago, we had all those young kids had to come up from Oklahoma City with all the injuries, had to throw, and they were good. The Dodgers in that tight race and wanted. But that's, and some of those guys we're seeing are those guys. They're the studs, the guys who are now become those guys either with us or somebody else. So you're right. It's Kyle Hurt's turn to be that guy. He's Kyle Hurt's turn to be the Vesia, the guys that come up and all of a sudden they got great stuff. And they got Will Klein just kind of blew up.
Or Will, yeah.
Where the hell he came from. And then the 18-inning game, everybody, this guy, and now nobody can hit him, Yeah. So that's the great story about that. Same way with Robo. We knew about Robo in college days and what he's bringing. But That's just such a great thing that you look at what those two guys did in the World Series. Their mentality, they're not trying to make the team anymore.
No,
they know they
right.
belong. They're trying to get people out. And they're trying to shove it in people's where.
They're trying to take the next step into high leverage.
That's right. They're ready to take the next
top
step.
of the trust tree.
I'm not flying back to Oklahoma City unless it's a rehab deal. I'm not going back to Oklahoma City. I'm in LA. I'm with the world champions. I belong here. Let's go. Hand me the freaking ball. And that's what you love about those young cats.
You know that arc for Jack Dreyer? Jack Dreyer, I mean, literally Jack Dreyer has thrown the toughest matchups of any relief pitcher in the Dodgers organization. He's been given the toughest matchups, which is why his ERA is almost 4. It's a compliment to Jack Dreyer that he has had, results-wise, as much success as he's had, because he's had the toughest assignments to accomplish in the bullpen this year in terms of, okay, well, this is a crappy matchup. Hey, Jack Dreyer, come on, man, because he's just so good at handling those situations, right? So how about this? This is kind of what we're talking about. That Jack Dreyer arc to the top of the trust tree.
Yes.
That's hopefully what we're seeing with Will Klein and Justin Robleski, just climbing that trust tree. Because squarely, Jack Dreyer is at the very top of the trust tree right now. And I think Robo and Will Klein both have a chance to get there. And what I'm saying about Kyle Hurt is they need to give him the chance to show that he could also climb to the top of that trust tree too.
Yeah, he's going to get opportunities. Like you said, Case, he needs to have, several opportunities. We need to see a big sample size.
Yes.
He needs to have those opportunities.
The dude's electric, man.
To earn that. It's electric.
So if you closed your eyes and you didn't know better and you watched Edwin Diaz and Kyle Hurt both throw bullpens, you'd be like, I think I'll take that guy. I think there's some people that would say that, right? That's how electric Kyle Hurt is.
Yes, he has that type of stuff. And it's great to see. And he's going to get an opportunity. I mean, Diaz, it's terrible. He's going to be out for a while. He had arm surgery, so we're going to see. Now it's the next man up. And the great thing about the Dodgers, the bullpen's been a little inconsistent, but it has on the back end of it. And like you said, all the comeback wins. That's bullpen. That's
Coach. That's a great point. Say that again. You can complain about the bullpen, but if you're going to say the Dodgers are the best comeback team in the major leagues, which they are, then that has to go. Yes, it goes to the offense because you have to score to do it. But that goes as much to anything to the bullpen. That's a great point to make.
It's so in basketball case. If you're down 20, you start coming back. It ain't because you're a good shooter. And I was watching Oklahoma City and Phoenix last night. Neither one of them could miss. They were both 60%, I think, at halftime. Neither one of them could freaking miss. So the deal is at some point you have to play defense to come back. If you're going to come back, you got to get stops. You got to score points. Same thing in baseball. The bullpen has got to do that job. If you're trading runs, you ain't winning the damn game. You're still going to get beat 5 runs. It'll be 11-6, instead of 5-1 to 1 or whatever. The point being, the bullpen has to give you that opportunity. The Dodgers have gotten that. That's why it's kind of frustrating. You see a couple blow-ups here, and everybody's losing their mind. Their hair's on fire because, the Cubs beat us late, the bullpen exploded, blah, blah, imploded, whatever. It's a
game of failure, and us fans aren't able to overcome the failure in our own brains. That's why fans think that way.
And the Cubs have, the Cubs got major league players too. They got millionaire ball players too. They got a good team. Cubs are actually got a good team right now. So that's going to happen. That's going to happen to everybody. The Dodgers are going to do that to people. There's going to be people do that to Dodgers every now and then because they're elite. They're the best players on the face of the earth. You're going to get them out, but you're not going to be. Nobody's 100%. Nobody gets everybody out. So those things are going to happen. It's good. It happened, a couple more times, and we all lose our minds over it. I know I'm probably one of them too. Said, "What the hell?" But anyway. But if you look at the big picture and look at what we're seeing, looking at the sample size up to this point with the bullpen, it's been amazing. It really has been. So we're going to have to see what happens.
In a lot of ways, no doubt. 15th ERA, don't look at the ERA. It's not necessarily the ERA. It's been the situational. It's kind of like, hey, if you don't gather a lot of hits, your batting average isn't great, but you're great situationally, or you get a lot of 2-out hits, you cover up a lot of holes there, right? So Justin Robleski, how about this, Coach? First Dodger since 2009 to win his first 4 starts. How about that for our boy Robo? And the thing about it, it's been more about just kind of dialing back the stuff and having more of an execution focus. Like in his last outing when he was struggling early, He just started throwing 2 pitches that inside corner part of the plate and started locating the inside part of the plate. The next thing you know, he was Justin Wrobleski again, because Robo is such an alpha male. When he starts commanding that inside part of the plate, that has that alpha male effect for him, and away we go. So he knew what to execute. He executed it, got him back on track, and it was fantastic to watch.
Well, look at his stuff, his numbers. I think you even mentioned it the other day on the broadcast. I mean, you look at what he's got, his ERA, he's 4.0. I mean, the ERA, it may be the best pitcher in the league right now, just based off of what we're seeing. The best part of it, and I think I texted this out to all you and all the other dogs. If you watch that game the other day, you're thinking, he ain't. It's just a bad day for Robo. He's going to be out there. I'll be go to hell. He ends up throwing more pitches than anybody in the Dodgers has all year. 109 pitches he ended up throwing.
Yeah, 109.
Because it's just that mentality. You know, he had to dig down and find that bullpen mentality. Like, I got to do it now. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be gone the second inning if something doesn't change here. And hell, he's still not giving anything up. You know, he's still not giving up anything. That's the great part about him, and all the great pitchers in the history of baseball forever has been the guys who you win when your stuff's not the best. Now, he started out, it wasn't even close. It didn't even look like the Robo we've been used to. But the great part about it is he fought through it. He grinded through it. He battled his guts out of every pitch. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He's, what we said earlier, he's become that guy. I belong here. I'm not going to Oklahoma City. I'm fixing to shove it up these guys' rears and get out of this thing, which he did. Ends up throwing 109 pitches and gets another win. So that's the beautiful part about him. Like you said, inside when he all of a sudden he couldn't throw a strike, then he couldn't. Everything was a strike. He struck one to everybody. You know, like you said, inside part of the plate, he starts nailing it, and all of a sudden the hitters are like, okay, now we're in trouble because this guy's back to where we've seen him before. Watching video.
Two pitches. He backed it up in 2 pitches and let's execute. And when I say an occasional third pitch, I don't mean just like one pitch type. Right. Occasional third pitch means out of the rest of the 4 pitches that he has, he throws of those 4 pitches occasionally together as a third pitch. Does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, 4 pitches would be great, but that's the great part about it. He went to 2 and still able to get out a good offensive team, you know, and was able to reestablish himself as who he is and what he has to be with the Dodgers. And he reestablished during the course of the game. That's the beautiful part, when the pressure's on. You know, when everything's going on, the Dodgers, you know, they needed him. You know, it's one of those things that it's a game they had to have. You know, they all are game. I'm not meaning, you know what I'm saying? They have to have them all, but you didn't need him to go out in the second inning. Then as we talked, you know, then you got the snowball effect. The everything's following. Everything screws up that
especially
day.
With this bullpen.
With this bullpen,
you know what saved the year is that our bullpen has had to cover the fewest amount of innings of any other bullpen. That saved the year. That's why we're on track for 110. Obviously, the offense is great, but I think that's a big factor too.
Well, 3 of our starters are. It's not just Robo. You know, we got 3 of the starters at best in the league. You know, I mean, good Lord, Glasnow has been unbelievable. Yamamoto struggled a little bit last night, but
so
Yamamoto
what?
Struggling.
He still gave you what, 5 innings?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. And then you know, then Ohtani, you know, maybe the Cy Young winner if you picked it right now. That's about those 3 starters are giving you that they're getting length. They're all giving you pitches. They're getting length.
That's allowed you to kind of put up with the Sasaki thing.
Yes, those 3 plus Robo is really.
And Emmett was great last time out, Coach.
Yeah, and we got 4 stars that have been elite, so that gives you a chance to work with the Sasaki stuff. I find it interesting. I was checking in on some stuff again on Sasaki that was our assistant pitching coach, Connor McGinnis.
Yes,
they worked with him in a bullpen on a grip change.
Yes. That's how it always is. People think you make these huge changes. It's always just a minor tweak that gets these guys.
And all of a sudden the splitter's 6 mile an hour harder, and the Cubs have no clue on it.
Yeah.
He don't give up any home runs on the splitter. He gave up 3 home runs. None of them are on the splitter, and 4 of his 5 strikeouts were on the splitter because and Mark Pryor even said the same thing. All of a sudden now it's a hard pitch. They can't distinguish. Is that a fastball? Yeah. And all of a sudden now it drops off the table. 91 mile an hour on a splitter, that's dirty. And if he continues to do that, we're going to see him turn around the other way. Like you said, with 2 pitches, you can do the bullpen. That's why he was great in the bullpen in the world's in the playoffs last year. He just had the 2 pitches. Now he's getting hit a little bit of the fastball and slider, so it's great. If that splitter becomes, if it's 91 or in that area, it's going to be a tough pitch. It gives you that 3rd pitch as a starter. You got to be nice to have at least 3. Robo got by with 2 when he had to, but the point being, usually a starter, you need at least 3 pitches. You'd like to have. Most of them have more than that, but
yeah,
it's great to see that. Just like you said, somewhere I don't know, somewhere in the bullpen, they're hanging out in the bullpen. Hey, let's try this. Is that McGinnis? Is that long-haired guy? Yeah, young kid.
Yeah.
I see him always right there by those guys. I didn't know his name, but I know he must be dang good at what he does. They've got him in there as assistant pitching coach with Mark Pryor, and you see what our pitchers are doing. Those guys are getting coached. I'm sorry. I know they're elite. I know they got great arms. They were born with these freaking arms, but they're pitching because they're being coached. They're being trained. They're doing their film work. They're doing their bullpen. They're doing their side. We know, Case, the bullpen work is where it all gets done. That's where a lot of things take place. And
no doubt.
I was great. I was getting excited reading that today.
Yeah, we see the end result. We don't see everything that goes into it. There's so much that goes into it.
So much goes into it, and just think about that. You're taking a guy who was basically throwing a hard splitter when he's at Japan. It's kind of why the Dodgers signed him. And then all of a sudden, it's not that it's becoming very hittable or out of the zone, or it wasn't a good pitch for him. Now all of a sudden, it's 91 miles an hour, and the Cubs are like, oh shit, where the hell did that come from?
You can say it. We're on YouTube.
Yes.
We're fine.
Yes, we're good.
We're big.
No,
boys.
you're right. So what the other stars have done and have given us length and allowed the bullpen to be rested, even though there's some things going on there.
Where you can handle Sasaki.
Sasaki, you can deal with Sasaki. We have time. We'll work on it tomorrow in the pen. Just go pitch.
Yeah.
Whatever. We got a great offense. We'll try to get you out of it. Let's get in the bullpen tomorrow, work on this. Here's stuff I'm seeing on video. Watch a video with a guy. Let's go. Now let's go out to the pen and work on it. It's your off day. It's your pen day. That's a beautiful part of baseball, Case, and it's a daily thing. Like Freddie Freeman's 35 years old, one of the greatest first basemen ever lived. Every day he's out on his knees doing his freaking work. That's why a guy like Ron Washington's still in baseball. He's a genius on infield drills and work. That's why those guys are around. They do it every day. They just don't wake up and walk around and puff their chest out and tell everybody how good they are. These guys work on their craft every day. Hitters, pitchers, everybody. And that's what me and we even did at Case at our level. I mean,
no doubt.
We did the same crap every day in base, the fundamentals every day starting our practice out. Button coverages, first
calling
and
them mini
third,
drills,
double cuts and mini drills, our PFPs, working on the basic fundamentals every day. So these guys do the same thing.
Yeah,
I love it.
100%. So with Sasaki, we've said this many different times, and this last outing is exact proof. Okay, 5 innings, 4 runs. I don't care about the 4 runs. I could give a rat's ass about the 4 runs that Roki. Yep. Matter of fact, I'm ecstatic about it. Now, would I rather give him less? Would I rather him give up less than 4 runs? Of course. The only thing that mattered to me is 5 innings. Okay, I mean, hey, if you give me 5 or 6 innings and you give up 4 or 5 runs, and you're my 6th starter, okay, we're going to win half of those games, and we're going to win 110 to 115 games. That's exactly what has happened. So, again, I'm going to say it again. I know I sound like a broken record, but if Sasaki can go at least 5 innings, preferably 6 innings, I really don't even care how many. Now, there's a limit to that. You can't give up like 11. But if he gets up 11 or 12 runs, he's not going to be going 5 innings, right? So if we can just get Sasaki to 5 or 6 innings, this Dodgers offense is so elite, they're going to win no matter what he does. Like we saw the last game, they came back and won. They covered the 4 runs he gave up. The offense is going to be able to cover the runs that he gives up way better than the bullpen would be able to cover the innings that he's not able to pitch. Did I say that properly? Great point.
Yeah, that's the basis of this whole thing you're talking about. Innings. How many? We just talked about how good these relievers have been. Our guys, we got what they're doing. It is because the starters have been given length. You said it, you nailed it right there. It's all about innings. Yeah, you may have, I don't care if you got 13 appearances and you've got 12 innings. Who cares? You're coming in, you're not having to cover 5 or 6 innings every day because the starters have been so good that's made the bullpen that much better. You know, the ERA, it means, you said that earlier, Case, forget the freaking ERA. That's come in bunches. In other words,
absolutely,
Dodgers,
especially as a reliever, you can have one bad outing and your ERA not look good, and everything else has been good.
Got the ERA the other night against the Cubs when we blew it the last 2 innings. That ERA is off the chart. That's where your high ERA comes. What I'm looking at is the other times they're coming in and drilling and giving you a chance to come back.
The not outliers. The ones that aren't the outliers. Don't look at the outliers. Look at the averages. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And like I said, the whole key, the whole thing is a starting pitching. That they're giving those guys, they're not having to cover so many innings. You said it best. Innings is what matters.
Yeah. So Emmett Sheehan, I mentioned not this last outing, which he was just fantastic on Saturday, but the outing before that where it was pretty close. I mean, he gave up I can't remember, 3 or 4 runs or whatever it was. I made the statement then, he is way closer than you think to not being good, but to being elite. And the reason why I said that was because he threw 3 pitches in his arsenal for first strikes above 60%. And if Emmett Sheehan is able to command counts, control counts with 3 different pitches to get ahead of hitters with, his stuff is so good, he is going to dominate. That's exactly what we saw on Saturday. He threw 3 different pitches on Saturday for strikes north of 60%. And when he's a strike thrower with 3 pitches at better than a 60% clip, he is not a good pitcher. He is elite. And that's your 5th starter. So dive into Emmett Sheehan.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, he is so electric with his stuff when he has that ability to throw strikes and to stay ahead in the count, get strike one, however you want to put it. Always, you're not pitching behind. All those terms we use when he's doing that, he has been totally dominant. I mean, you think about it. You said strike one, best pitch in baseball. We've been saying for years. Everybody says it. Kyle Johnson said it. You said. I said his pitch is strike one. So he's getting that in. He's throwing 3 pitches for 60%. I think you said.
Yeah.
For strikes. I mean.
And first strikes.
First strikes. Yeah, 60% throwing first strikes. So the guy is elite because of that. So we make too much out of pitching on one hand or the other.
By the way, Sasaki last time was 90% first strikes. That was a big deal for him.
Big one. Yeah. You know, all you have to do is go back. There's a little chart out there that shows the batting averages on the counts. Go back and look what the batting average is in 0-1.
20 of 23 first pitches for Sasaki were first strikes. How about that?
There you go. That's how you get some length.
Yeah,
that's
no doubt.
How he because the pitchers, and especially when also he starts coming with a 91 on the splitter.
Yeah.
And now those 0-1s guys, they're not getting hits.
Doubt.
They're not putting innings together against him. They're not bunching stuff against him. That's great. And Sheehan has been that guy. You know, that's my point. A couple of years ago, Sheehan was that guy. You know, all of a sudden he's got to come up and be a pitcher for us. Same thing. We're looking at Kyle Hurt now. We need Kyle Hurt to turn into what we have in Emmett Sheehan now, what we have in Robleski now. Guys who are in Will Klein, the guys who are in the minor leagues that are now elite, basically are giving you everything you got there. They're elite major league pitchers. I'll just say that's what they are right now.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so talking about the elite starting pitching, obviously Shohei Ohtani, him and Yamamoto are going to fight, both of them, for the Cy Young, okay?
Yep.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I do think it would help, first of all, let's get into this. Shohei Ohtani, I think it would help him win the Cy Young if he did not hit on the days that he pitched. Plus, you have Dalton Rushing, who has 7 home runs. Plus, you have Dalton Rushing, who's hitting, over 400 at this point? I can look up the exact matter of fact. Dalton Rushing has 7 home runs in 13 games. He's hitting .385, OPS 1441. And Shohei Ohtani, by the way, is just 1 for 10 on the days that he's pitching. So, for one, this is one of those workload management deals, too. I know he's the greatest player in the world, but for one, Dalton Rushing is a better hitter than Shohei Ohtani right now. As stupid as that, right now, not overall as a career, but right now, Dalton Rushing is a better hitter than Shohei Ohtani on the days that Shohei Ohtani's pitching. Okay, and Shohei Ohtani has a chance to win the Cy Young. I think that will give him a better chance to do so. And by the way, it solves many different problems at once because you're kind of searching for at-bats for Dalton Rushing to begin with, and that's a very natural way to do it. So I am 100% in favor of DHing Dalton Rushing for Shohei Ohtani on the days that Ohtani pitches.
this is the, what do you call it? The perfect storm in a good way. Shohei is 1 for 10 on the days he pitches. I was reading a story today on Dodgers Insider on sports. I got on Dodgers Insider, just kind of catching up, doing a little homework before we got together, and started talking about how Dave Roberts is talking all these quotes about how I wasn't going to pitch Shohei on the or hit Shohei on the days he pitches through the 1 for 10 and had all these other stuff here and had a day game tomorrow, blah blah blah. The bottom line is if Dalton Rushing ain't doing what he's doing, there's no conversation. Correct?
100%. I mean,
Dalton Rushing is the reason.
I think the conversation is Dalton Rushing. You need to find at bats for him, and he's good. And why not? Explain to me why not.
His name was never mentioned in the Dodgers Insider article. I didn't have to have it mentioned. I know what you just said and what I know and what everybody knows. If Dalton Rush ain't doing what he's doing, this isn't a conversation.
We're not having this conversation around Santiago Espinal, right? I mean, that. No offense to Santiago, but that's the point.
Dalton Rushing has earned that. He's earning those at bats because he continues to pull. I know everybody's getting their feelings hurt by him. They're talking about he's this and that. He's a jerk. I like the dirt bag stuff he's bringing. Case. I don't think he's dirty. He's bringing some toughness.
Who are you talking about?
Slide might have been a little bit out of line. Whatever.
Who are you talking about?
Hard. He plays hard baseball. He's a freaking catcher. And by the way, if you don't know, he's trying to stay in the big league.
Oh yeah.
He's up here. He's up there, and he's trying to stay forever. So give the kid a break. Everything I've seen him do, I've had players do the same thing, and they were good kids. They were good, hard-nosed players. They were just trying to make plays, and they're trying to make it. Dalton Rushing is still he's still got to stay there. He starts hitting 180. There's a whole different conversation we're having. So he's bringing some mental toughness and everything.
No
he's
doubt.
having success at the plate, but it's everything. He's showing some. Okay, there's some things I wish he probably hadn't have done, but it's because he's going hard. He's trying to make plays. He's trying to. And I don't know the kid. I can tell by looking at him. He's a dirt dauber. He goes back to some old school. I can see some old school stuff coming out of him, and there ain't a damn thing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. So when Blake Snell comes back, who goes?
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Blake Snell comes back. Okay. And when Mookie comes back, who goes? There's tough decision. And thank God we got the best front office in the world next to the Thunder.
That will make the tough decisions.
Yeah.
Now, they'll play the PR games. They'll play the long game. It's called the big picture. They'll play the big picture PR decisions. No doubt about it. Dave says long game. I call it big picture. They will do that. But in the end, when it comes down to winning world championships, they will make every tough decision. And they're right. I mean, they're right every time, man.
But I mean, they have shown the ability and the cojones to not have any problem in making those decisions. And like you said, Case, more times than not, they're correct. But Snell's coming back. Something's got to give. When Mookie comes back, what do you got? Is Freeland or Kim going down? You know what I'm saying? Something's going to happen.
I'm in favor of just leaving Hesson Kim at shortstop and making him your future shortstop and moving Mookie to second. Like I said all last year, and look, the hell with it. Let's go. And let's see if that the reduced workload is in terms of defensively actually helps Mookie Betts on offense. That's my point.
Because we're looking at some injuries piling up on him the last few years. Mookie's in great shape. He's a great athlete, world-class athlete, but he's not getting any younger. He's
still a year older.
Yeah,
that's not an insult. That's a fact. I mean, that's whatever.
You mentioned last time we were together.
Yeah,
oblique. That what are they saying now? 4 to 6 weeks.
I told you. I told you, man.
This is a baseball.
I told you, man. I don't trust those obliques.
Well, you're playing baseball. There's a lot of twisting and turning and rotating, whatever. Kim has been tremendous. Hit 333 in 18 games with the Dodgers, and is I'd be anything wrong with that. Maybe you take it easy on Mookie's body. We've seen some of that with Freddie too. They're getting older. The things that crop up. Freddie plays through it. Mookie does a lot of times too. But his oblique, you can't play through that.
No,
and
you can't.
Going on with him, some other stuff last year.
You can be out there, but you're not going to be effective.
Yeah, Freddie has a sprained ankle. He plays, wins a world title. We didn't know he had broken rib. That's how freaking tough he is. He looks like an accountant when he's got his three-piece suit on. But he's a freaking dirt dauber. He's a dog.
Yeah.
Deep down, he just don't come across that way. But he is mentally. That's why he's a Hall of Fame baseball player. Yeah. They all the ones are like that. Some of them are outwardly dogs. Some of them aren't, but they're all dogs if they're in the freaking Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I promise you, they have to have that mental toughness to do it.
Yeah, when Snell comes back, is it Robo that goes? Oh, hell no. It's not Robo. Is it Sheehan that goes back? Oof. man, he's just now starting to look like the Emmett Sheehan we hope he's supposed to be. Then you get back to the Roki Sasaki, the PR situation there, and the improvement that he's made and all that. So there's a weird decision to be made coming up. That's going to be one where nobody's going to feel good about it, and that's not necessarily anybody's going to feel bad about it either, because you're improving your chances to win a World Series. So it's one of those darn if you do, darn if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Sasaki was great in the bullpen last year. If that's what they decide to do, maybe he goes back. Maybe he's your closer or whatever. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to do something's got to give. Who knows? Hell, if Robo continues what he's doing, maybe he's in talk for the Cy Young. Now we're having to,
come on now, Coach. Come on, Coach.
Son, that's a long way down the road. It's early, but it wouldn't be the first, what I'm saying as of right now. But anyway, he's going to continue to give quality starts. Don't think he'll go 20-0, but who knows? Hell, he maybe will. But the point being, something's got to give there, and it's going to be a tough decision. But I don't think it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for those individual players, but us as fans going, okay, we got Sasaki at the bullpen. Hell, he's a stud down there last year. Put him back there. We got Snell back in there. Oh, hell, we can do that. Oh, we got Mookie Betts coming into play. He's a Hall of Fame player. Oh, crap, I hate to see Frieden or Kim go down, or go wherever they go, or whatever they decide to do. But it's going to be the ball club is going to be fine. Yeah, those individual 100%. Players, they're going to have to deal with some tough decisions, and the front office is going to have to make them. That's why I love our front office. Those dudes, they have no problem doing it. They'll have every bit of information they need working with Dave and his staff, and they'll make the decision. Like you said, they'll do some PR stuff they have to, but the point being, these guys are trying to win the third straight, and they're not backing off of it. They make no bones about it. The Dodgers running baseball. Kiss our butt.
Don't care.
We have to go play it. You have to go out and play it every day. The Blue Jays didn't care. They had a great World Series and right there close to winning the damn thing. So don't give me that. The Dodgers running baseball, the Dodgers win. The Dodgers had to find ways to win tough, hard-fought, close games on the road against a very well-coached and very well-playing team. The Dodgers front office is that coach that's able to chew your ass while making you feel loved all at the same time. I mean, they are the perfect – they have the perfect blend of making very difficult decisions, ones that aren't necessarily perfect for your own individual career maybe, but then making you feel loved and making you feel like this is the best scenario for you all in one. They have a unique ability to do that, 100%. Okay, so Will Smith, coach, the back issues. He's not playing very well. Dalton Rushing is fantastic. Here's the problem. It's easy to say, well, just let him have some time off. Dalton's playing great, this and that. But here's the problem is back issues, they don't go away, man. This is just something that it's there. You either deal with the pain or you don't. I just don't see 2 weeks doing anything to help really a back. I personally, I just think it's going to come right back. So, I mean, I think it's either you play and you deal with the pain and you get used to it, or you completely shut it down. But I think that's a really difficult situation right now with Will Smith. Well, think about it. It goes back to the same thing we talked about earlier. We're talking about baseball players. I mean, golfer Tiger Woods, I know had he had a lot of other things, but I mean, he had back issues. It took maybe the greatest golfer in the history of the sport. Yes. One of them. It was a short list, and he's right there at the top of it. But point being, back injury, same thing. The torque, the rotation, the power, the torque of hitting a golf ball. Same way hitting a 100-mile-an-hour baseball, or in this case, being a catcher and catching 100 and blocking balls. And there's so much in it. It's kind of like the oblique deal. There are just certain things you can't play through. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You tough guy, and they do. There's no doubt that Smith's had fingers that are broken and blah, 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 and crap that hurt on him all the time. He never missed a start. But there's certain things you just can't play through because you can't perform with those injuries. And I'm like you, the back's always one of the worst for every sport, but definitely in, I'd say baseball and golf, anything to do with that rotational type stuff is going to be an issue. Same way with oblique with Mookie. You just hope they get back and at some point and are able to stay healthy. But same old thing. You see all these basketball players, they got a calf strain. Next thing you know, they pop their Achilles. And it happens all the time. They take off time, they come back. And, we've seen it in some of the greatest basketball players the last few years, actually, popping those Achilles. And Aaron Rodgers, calf calf injury, comes out first game, pops that Achilles. It's the same thing. There's just certain.
The problem is with the back, it's reoccurring. You think it's getting better, then you have a setback. You think it's getting better, you have it's like a high ankle sprain, man. It's just,
it just keeps coming. You're right. Injury that keeps on giving in a bad way.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you this offense, totally elite. How about this? Not just for the Major League Club. This comes from Austin Brubaker. Check him out on X, if you will, man. Austin does a great job.
Austin,
first in WRC plus, which is weighted runs created plus, at 131 all the major leagues. First in on base percentage at 3. We think boomer bust, a lot of slug. How about first in on base percentage for the Dodgers at 355? Also first in home runs. Second in ISO, which is an independent power statistic, at 195 at the major league level. Then at the minor league level, the Dodgers minor leagues collectively are second in WRC plus at 115. They're first in on-base percentage. So between the Major League Club and the minor league system, the Dodgers are first in all of baseball in on-base percentage, okay? They are second in home runs. So first in the Major League, second in the minor league system in home runs. They have 104 home runs in the minor leagues, and first in the minor leagues in power indexed of ISO. How about that for offensive production? And it all starts with the fact that the Dodgers preach elite plate discipline, but then once you get the ball in the strike zone, come out of your shoes being aggressive. It's a crazy fine line of, hey, we're being very patient and very disciplined to not swing at pitches that are out of the zone, but once you identify it's going to be in the zone, we want you to be as aggressive as you can possibly be. How do you get to that situation? It's unbelievable to me because I've tried so many times with kids to create that balance. It is hard to do. Sounds easy, very hard to do.
Very hard to do that. That's elite. Elite major league players.
Alex Call is the third catcher, by the way, LSU on this club. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Elite plate discipline. But, there's more to it than just that.
But how are you that elite at having discipline, but then that aggressive at balls in the zone? How do you get that?
That's what I'm saying. It has to be years and years and years because me and you've tried it with high school kids. It's hard to get it. It's almost impossible to get it with a high school kid. I don't know at the college level. Maybe probably the same type deal. But it's almost like, well, it is like, you throw me a strike, I'm all over that.
Oh.
Yeah, you throw it over the plate, I'm wearing that shit out. We used to always tell kids.
But the aggressive guys usually also swing and miss quite a bit at pitches that aren't in the zone. The Dodgers don't. I don't know how they've beaten that formula, but they have.
But look at it. I mean, it's an organizational deal.
It is.
As Austin's stats show. Of course, Moneyball, Billy would have loved that. The on-base percentage, we're leading everybody at on-base percentage. That was his number one deal, in the Moneyball movie. But anyway, so here we are again, on-base percentage, and pissing all the old scouts off because we're talking about on-base percentage. But here we go, home runs, everything. If you look across it, that's from the top of the organization down. There's more to that. This is you mentioned before, a culture, a way of life, being a Dodger, being in the Dodger organization. You got kids that are learning it on the minor league level, and they're bringing it to they're bringing it to the big league level at some point. That's the amazing part. That's something you wish you could bottle. All of us coaches, you wish you could bottle the fact we got great plate discipline, but we're aggressive. It's almost like John Wooden saying, be fast, but be quick, but don't get in a hurry.
Okay, Coach. I mean, what the hell does that mean? How do I do that? I mean, it's like, wow.
That was a famous John Wooden quote.
No doubt.
Be fast, be quick, but don't get in a hurry, or however you put it. Same thing,
No doubt.
It's go balls to the wall, but be under control. That's basically what he was saying. It's kind of the same thing here. I'm going balls to the wall, but
it's like a coach yelling at his players, telling him to calm down. It's like, well, how am I going to calm down while you're yelling? I mean, it's amazing to me that they're able to do that.
Yeah, I'm screaming at you, but you calm down.
Yeah,
hell, let's calm down.
It's like,
calm down, damn it.
Okay,
I've done it. I've done it. Absolutely. Maybe there's something to the fact that John Wood won how many NCAA championships in 80-something games. Maybe
we want you to be aggressive, but we don't want you to swing at balls. It's like,
that's right.
Okay.
And also I can walk the ball off the floor and throw it into Bill Walton or Lou Wilson. Right. There wasn't any shot clock in those days, so that didn't hurt either. But anyway, there's a lot of ways to. That's a beautiful part. That's why we all love athletics, mainly baseball, but I love every sport because there's so much of you can connect them so many ways.
No doubt.
the mentality, everything to it. It's all connected. You sit there and watch a game, you're like, hey, well, it's kind of like in baseball. We've already talked about that today. Well, that's a great part about that is an amazing stat. And what is amazing is that it's top to bottom, from the Dodgers all the way down to Rancho or Great Lakes or whatever the hell we're talking about.
Coach, another thing, because the Dodgers preach being so aggressive in the zone and because they don't chase the zone, those two combined, they're the best team in baseball at hitting high velocity. At 95 and above, if you throw a 95 or above fastball in the zone, it's going to get hit by this Dodgers team. And that's why the Dodgers are so good at coming back, because typically speaking, high-end relievers, we know, what do they throw? They throw high-velocity fastballs. And if you're a great high-velocity fastball hitting team that doesn't chase the zone, so, all teams can hit average pitching. If a pitcher throws a mistake, any major league hitter can hit it.
Yep.
But it's only the great hitters and the ones with the great approaches, to be honest with you, that can hit the elite pitching. So by not chasing the zone and then also hitting high-velocity fastballs, that allows the Dodgers to be able to hit the high-end relievers, or at least gives them the setup to hit high-end relievers better than any other team in baseball, and that's why they have comebacks the way they do.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like I said, if you're the best at hitting velocity, bullpens are going to be in trouble with you, because most of those guys come out, as your dad used to say, blowing snot. Come out there, open the chute up, as bulls coming out blowing snot.
No doubt.
It's not exactly all like that. Now, there's a little bit more pretty boys in the bullpen nowadays. But they all got the same mentality. So we was talking about our Dodger bullpen guys. They're coming out of the pen. Alex Vesia is blowing snot every time he comes out there. Like a lot of relievers are coming out there. But in the Dodgers, he's also not facing the Dodger hitters. When you're facing the Dodger lineup and your 95 plus is pretty good. But I think Tanner Scott even said that. I was reading about him the other day. The reason he's better this year, he says middle gets hit. I don't care how hard I throw. Last year I was middle, and it got wore out. He said I had to become, better where they're not doing that crap. Same thing here with the Dodgers. If you come out of the pen thinking, hell, I just got to get strike one in there, well, it may get the shit knocked out of it.
Yeah, no doubt.
They got hitters that can do that. So
no doubt.
That's an amazing thing to have, and not every team has it. That's why the Dodgers are the world champions, and will be until somebody can prove they can beat them.
Last thing here, the only pitch the Dodgers struggle with, you know what it is?
Change-up.
Down in the zone. The changeup down in the zone, which, okay, I mean, you want to know the hardest pitch to control in baseball? The freaking changeup. If that's the only pitch you struggle at, you're going to be an elite offense, because pitchers can't control that pitch. And they have a hard time. The best pitchers in the world that have the best changeups have a hard enough time just throwing it for a strike, period. And then trying to locate it to a particular part of the zone beyond that is almost impossible for even the best changeups in baseball. So if you were to say the only pitch you don't hit really well is a changeup down the zone, okay, you're going to be elite. I think I'll deal with that, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, when Shohei Ohtani gets a rally started, it's almost like a mandate. And when Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman get hits, it's like a mandate. We ain't losing now, right?
Exactly. And the same, like you said, the changeup in the dirt, changeup down the zone. Okay. There's only in my lifetime been one Greg Maddux. That may be the only guy. I saw him one game. I swear to God, they sat there to camera. He threw 20-something straight changeups. Yeah. And they all did something different. That's it.
And he didn't know. He wasn't manipulating. He didn't know where it was going to go.
No. That's what I'm saying. There's never been another guy like that.
Yeah.
That has the ability to do that. So if the worst pitch that we're going to hit is a changeup down, we'll take that, because, like you said, there's nobody really planning on that changeup being there. You see more changeups that are hung on the college level, the pro level. You see more hanging changeups that get the crap knocked out of them. So
it's a bad fastball.
If you can land a changeup down the zone consistently on us, you probably got a chance of beating the Dodgers. But that's not going to happen.
So if you consistently land a changeup down the zone, you know what you do? You tip your cap. Good for you, brother.
Tip your cap, shake their hand, and go. The Dairy Queens used to say, "Need to get a milkshake."
and spill a malt all over the front of your face.
Casey Porter used to be right down the front of you every time.
In Kansas, America, in El Dorado, Kansas, right?
Yes, little red dirt and milkshake.
After facing two guys that were throwing 96, we thought we were going to go down there and win a doubleheader, and got our asses kicked both times and had a good time doing it, right?
Well, in that old ballpark, that old minor league ballpark.
Oh, that was great.
Awesome. It was a great time. And, the ice cream down the shirt. That's why you're a dirt dauber. I talked about dirt daubers earlier. These people need to know Casey Porter's a dirt dauber. He's always dirty and probably had some vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream down the front of the
Was going to throw at least one ball over the first baseman's head. It wasn't a matter if, it was a matter of how high over the first baseman's head was it going to be.
Yeah, but you threw most of them to the first baseman, and you hit 9-hole, and you could wear out a fastball, and everybody kept throwing you fastball.
Yeah.
That's why, that's why I hit you 9-hole, because you'd always get a base hit.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Coach, man, it's great to see your face. This has been a hell of a lot of fun. We're going to put as many of these shows as we can put together as we have time. We'll have more time as we're getting closer to the summer. So, hey, just turn on those notifications, and if you hit one, like, we've had a great crowd today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. So, hey, man, any final thoughts here? It's great to see your face.
It's great to see you too, and again, much love to Laura and you guys and your family over there. You know how what I feel about you and your family. So I hadn't seen you in a while. And much love to everybody over there, and love out to our Dodger dogs. It was a great crowd today, and they're the best in the business of understanding baseball, passion for baseball, but understanding the game
and putting up with us our old asses, right?
Yeah, and I'm just glad, I think I told you the story.
I get cranky sometimes, so you got to put up with me. There's a lot of putting up with me.
Too. We all do, but I think I told you a story. Me and my wife, she took me to see some comedy show. I'll get this real quick. Down in Oklahoma City, I didn't know the lady, but she wanted to go, so we went. Remember, they had behind them, they started doing the closed captioning behind her. So it was on the screen, it kept showing what she was saying.
Oh,
well, about half the time, it screwed it up. So I started laughing in the back of my mind. You know what I'm thinking? I leaned over to my wife. I said, that's why the people in Korea and Japan couldn't understand Coca-Cola.
That's hilarious.
My hillbilly voice.
That's
the
hilarious.
Sounded different. They'd look around, they'd have the wrong. I said, there we go.
That's
There's
hilarious.
why. So I'm glad. I hope they can understand me better. And if not, just know that I love all of our Dodger fans, our Dodger dogs. I love you, Case. And it's a great day to be a Dodger, as always. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.
By the way, I'm getting ready to put the Down on the Farm segment together. Not going to have it here on the live show. Got to go here in a minute. I'm going to put that together. So be looking forward to definitely having that Down the Farm. We got a lot of action to get through from over the weekend, so I'm going to put that Down the Farm. It'll be released probably here in about 30 to 45 minutes. So thanks, Coach Holt. I love you. Thanks to all you wonderful Dodgers dogs. I love you as well. Hey, what a great day it is to be a Dodger.